Hey guys, what's up? Magic in the Basement here. Um, I just wanted to see how you guys were up to, make a video. I made a commander deck with one of the new 2018 commanders because I actually like the idea of planeswalkers as commanders. I think it's a pretty fun idea. Um, they're all legendaries now anyway, and I don't know if I think they all should be able to be your commander because some are pretty powerful. You know what I mean? And especially if it was your commander, you could play it at will when you had the mana for it. It's iffy. Maybe they all should be, but I don't know. At least more of them, and I like the fact that we're seeing more. Anyway, um, I got a new little setup for my videos, so I wanted to make a quick video and show you the deck that I made with Saheeli, because she's red and blue, so is it colors, and she's artifact love, and I love artifacts, and I like red and blue. I like blue. Blue is actually my favorite color for Magic, and red is probably not one of my favorites, but I like how red and blue synergize together. It's like control and burn. All right, so we've got Saheeli. I've gone over her in my other videos on her actual deck. She is our commander. I'll just go over her real quick. She's pretty powerful, especially in this deck. She's 4 mana for 4 loyalty. She's 2 colorless, a red and a blue. She's got +1 to create a servo, 1/1 colorless servo artifact token. She's got another +1 that says the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less for each, 1 colorless less for each artifact you control as you cast it, which is very strong in this deck, and you'll see that it can get ridiculously big stuff out ridiculously early. Then she's got her -7. For each artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste. Exile those at the beginning of your next end step. Also very powerful, especially in a deck built around her. Um, I'll just go over one thing. Like I said, her +1 that makes a spell cost colorless less for artifacts um, is very strong. I got this off for 20 mana as X, okay, and in a game, and it was not hard. I mean, it wasn't like a Christmas land scenario, but this is X red, red, red. It's got improvise, so you can tap untapped artifacts for its colorless, and it gives you 1 colorless to its cost. But what this does is you reveal X cards from the top of your library, and then you can cast any of those X cards that are artifacts and cost less than X or equal to X. Put them right into the battlefield without paying their mana. The rest go into your graveyard. Now, that's strong, but I had X being 20. So I revealed 20 cards and got to, I think when it was all said and done, I ended up with 10 artifacts on the battlefield. 10 free artifacts. It's very powerful. Obviously, I won that game, but it was ridiculous. Okay, let's go over what we have in this deck. Now, granted, this deck is not necessarily a budget deck because this I made this deck with cards that I own already. I didn't buy any of these cards extra, but that being said, it's not necessarily budget. It does have some pretty expensive cards in it. Nothing like overboard, stupid expensive, but it's not like in my other videos where I showed you upgrades to a deck and tried to keep those upgrades pretty low. Granted, this deck doesn't have some of the more expensive cards that I do own because I didn't want to make go overboard with it, and they're in other decks. But anyway, Saheeli's our commander. Okay. Then we'll go to our non-artifact creatures. We have 1, 2, Well, one of them is actually an artifact creature. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 regular creatures. Well, 8 in the artifact one. But these are going to be. We got Jorah. Okay, she's very powerful. She's 4 mana for 3/3. Um, and whenever you cast a historic spell, you may draw a card. Historics are legends, which this deck has plenty of legends. Legends now include planeswalkers. So if you play a planeswalker, if she's out and you cast your Saheeli or another planeswalker, you draw a card. Also, historics are artifacts, and in a deck that loves artifacts, she gets you lots of card draw. All right, so we got her, very strong card. All right, our next one is I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Taunos. Anyway, he came in this Healy deck. It's 2 mana for 1/3 haste. Tap a red and the blue, and tap him. Copy target artifact, activate or triggered ability from an artifact you control. You can create new targets. So this is pretty strong because it could copy a mana ability. It could copy a like your. I've got mirror in here. I've got some other utility artifacts, and he's pretty strong with that. All right. And then we have another one of the Saheeli deck cards. 6 mana for a 4. Creature tokens you control have haste. That's strong because this kind of has like a token sub theme to it. It's artifacts, but it does have quite a bit of token love. Then it's got at the beginning of your combat turn. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 blue mirror artifact. So he makes an artifact token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token. Very strong, especially with Saheeli's ultimate, because she makes tokens of every artifact that you have on the board. So she makes a bunch of tokens, and then when you go into combat phase, you can turn all those tokens into one of your artifacts that she created. For example, I had in the game that I won, I had here we go. I had a bunch of cards out, but I had Soul and Phyrexia out. Okay, and I ended up having I ultimated her, and he was out. Okay, so that was actually a turn I won, but I had 24 tokens, and I all turned them into, and he was one of them because of her ultimate. Turned them into copies of him. I picked him because he had trample, so I had 24 Soul Phyrexia tokens that had haste and trample, and it was just ridiculous because he's a 6/6. He's got 2 awesome abilities, but he's a 6/6 trample. So I had 24 of these on the board. Okay, so this guy is very strong. All right. And then we got Goblin Welder. 1/1 for 1 red. His wording on his ability is kind of weird, but what he does is you tap him, you sack an artifact token or an artifact, and then you return an artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. So pretty much he switches a artifact on the in play for 1 in the graveyard. Now with him, the cool part about him is you can do that with tokens. So you can sack like a servo token and get an artifact from your graveyard back onto the battlefield. Very strong recursion. So, like for a 1/1 token, you could possibly get a Soul Phyrexia. You can get so many different things that have been in the graveyard. All right, we have another one from Saheeli's deck, Precon deck. This is simple 1/1. 2/1 for 2 mana haste, but she's got Lieutenant. So if you got Lieutenant at the beginning of your combat, you create a 1/1 colorless drop that will flying that gains haste until end of turn. Simple, but it's a token maker if you get your commander out, which I like. Because you don't have to pump any mana into it or anything, just have your commander out. Pretty good, pretty good. And it's cheap. This guy is very powerful in this deck because He is 4 mana for a 1/4. Now, artifacts you control have hexproof. That he's got another ability, but that is the bread and butter. It makes once he hits the field, all your artifacts have hexproof, and that's quite a bit. And he has the second one at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control the artifact with the highest converted mana cost, you draw a card. And in this deck, you have so many artifacts, and some of them have pretty high mana costs. So more often than not, you draw a card. Then we have these three guys. Now they are pretty much the mage trio: trinket mage, trophy mage, treasure mage. All 3 mana, all 2/2s. Now when they come into play, he searches for a 1 or less artifact. Very good. I generally search for, if I'm having mana problems, I'll pick like a Soul Ring. If I'm not having mana problems, I pick Skull Clamp just for a card draw. I don't have a Walking Ballista in here, but if you did have Walking Ballista, this is what you would search with it. You got the other mage. This gets you 3 artifact with 3 mana. I always grab a mana rock with this one. Then we got the treasure mage. He gets you artifact with 6 mana, and this can grab things like, I don't have it in here, but it could grab Wormcoil Engine. It could grab Soul New Phyrexia. That's what I generally grab. Thropter Assembly, things of that nature. So also good card, good synergy. All right, so those are the non-artifact creatures I have. Now let's go over to artifact creatures I have. We got Soul New Phyrexia, 6/6 for 6 trample, pay 5. Permanents you control gain indestructible until end of turn. Very powerful because it doesn't tap him, and it's generic mana. And then he's got another one. Exile, pay 5, exile him from the graveyard. Permanents you control gain indestructible on the turn. So we could do it on the field or in the graveyard. Alright, very strong. Mere Battlesphere, like I said, it's got a sub theme of tokens. Mere Battlesphere, you get 4 tokens and you can burn stuff directly. I like it. I like it a lot. We have another one, not a Mere Battlesphere, but something very similar. I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's a flying. It comes in the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters on it. Then you can remove the 1/1 counter and create a token that's colorless artifact with flying, and sack it. Deal 1 damage to to any target. This is good because it's got tokens for when this comes. If you go ultimate with this, if you got the other guy out that gives your token haste, it's got that. You can it's got like a board wipe protection because you can sack them to deal damage. It's pretty good. Thropter Assembly, it's sort of like this guy, but it's a 6. It's a 5/5 for 6 flying. It's a Thropter. If you don't have any Thropters at the beginning of your upkeep, return this to your hand and you get 5 Thropters. So it's either a 5/5 flyer, pretty big flyer, or it makes Thropters, Thropter tokens, which is very strong. And they're 1/1, so for this or the mirror, it's great fodder for the Skull Clamp. Another similar one. I'm sure you guys have seen this. It's a 7. It comes in the Battle of 5. You can remove a 1/1, make a artifact with a creature flying, or you could sacrifice one of those artifacts to put a 1/1 back on it. So it's like a carrier. You know, you can take make tokens or sack the tokens to make it bigger. I like it. This guy's great. Steel Hellkite, flying 5/5. He's got like fire breathing for 2, but it's colorless, so it's pretty good. And then when he attacks, you can put X into him, and whoever he attacks, if he dealt damage to him, X blows up their permanence of X converted mana cost. Very strong. If they got something on their board that you want to get rid of, you could just attack them. And he's got flying, so unless you got flyers, you just blow up all their permanents with X. Very strong. Darksteel Juggernaut came in the Saheeli deck. Pretty straightforward. He's star. Stars are his artifacts. He's indestructible, and he attacks every turn if able. He can get very, very big. Then we got Metalwork Colossus. I got him in here because most of the time he comes in for free. He's a 10/10 for 11 mana, but you reduce his mana by X, where X is the number of converted mana costs of non-artifact creatures. So like your Soul Rings, your Hedron Archives, things of that nature. Like I said, he normally comes in for free. Very strong. This guy's a champ. Memnarch, 7 mana for 4/5. He's got 1 blue. Target permanent becomes an artifact. In addition, it doesn't that effect doesn't end at end of turn. So once it's an artifact for good. He's got 3 and a blue. Steal artifact. You gain control target artifact. Again, doesn't end at end of turn. Also, neither of these abilities end when he dies. Very powerful. So when you got the mana, you can steal artifacts, or you could make something in the artifact and steal it. Very powerful. This guy I love because he generally comes in at a highly reduced cost, if not for free. He was in the Saheeli deck. He's got Flash. He's a 12/12, and when he dies, he makes a 6/12 with Trample, and he also has Trample himself. Very strong card. Weatherlight, it's my only vehicle in the deck, but it's 4 mana for 4/5 flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, you can look at the top 5 of reveal historic, put it into your hand. The rest go in the bottom of your artifact, bottom of your library in any order. And it's crew of 3, so it's not hard to crew. It's a pretty good card. It's early game. It searches for what you need. Junk Driver, pretty good. This is also can be picked out with your mage when it comes into play. You can grab this. And he's recursion. When he dies, you get another artifact from the graveyard to your hand. He's a 1/1, so you can skull clamp him to kill him yourself. Scrap trawler. When he or another artifact dies, you get an artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield. To your hand with converted mana cost of whatever died or less. So, like, say a Mere Battlesphere died, you could get and he's out. You get an artifact of 6 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Very strong recursion. All right. This guy's simple. He's 3 mana for makes your artifact spells cost less. Also can be grabbed at your mage. Another guy makes your historics cost less. It's pretty much your artifacts, but he can also make planeswalkers cost less as well. Alright. Sculptor, another pretty basic dude. Makes your artifacts cost less. Master of Ethereum. Pumps your artifacts, and he's power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control. This guy, very powerful, can get out of hand. Then we got this guy. He's a 3/6. I like him because he's an artifact creature, and he cascades. But I like him because you can return to your hand and cast him again. So if need be, if you have like artifacts in play that rely on other artifacts when they come into battle or something, like Joyra, whatever, you could play him every turn and draw a card off of her every turn if needed. And he cascades. So those are my artifact creatures. Pretty strong. They have lots of synergies with themselves, with each other, and definitely with Saheeli. Alright. Now we'll go on the planeswalkers other than Saheeli. There's 4 of them. We've got Devetti, Scrap Servant. I'll read him. He's 4 mana for 3 loyalty. Discard up to 2 cards. Draw that many cards. Pretty good. It helps you, get the things you need when you need them. Then he's got -2 sack an artifact. If you do, return a target artifact from the graveyard to the battlefield. Very strong if you need something back quick that's important. Then he's got -10. Get emblem whenever artifact put into the graveyard from the battlefield. Return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of your next instep. So all in all, he's very strong for commanders. I mean, very strong for artifacts. Then we've got pretty much a no-brainer. Tezzeret, the new Tezzeret. He's all about artifacts as well. 5 mana, 5 loyalty. He's +1. You create a Thropter. He's got a 0. Draw a card. If you control 3 or more artifacts, draw 2 cards. Then he's got -9. You get emblem at the beginning of your end step. Search your library for a permanent. Put it onto the battlefield. Very strong. Very good artifacts. Then we got good old Chandra. She's pretty much self-explanatory, but I'll read her anyway. 4 mana for 4 loyalty. She's got +1. Exile the top card of your library. You may cast it. If you don't, she deals 2 damage to each opponent. She's got another +1, which adds 2 mana to your mana pool. She's got -3. She deals 4 damage to a target creature. Then -7. You get emblem whenever you cast a spell. Deal 5 damage to target creature or player. Very strong. And then we got good old Karn, the new Karn. Very powerful in this deck. 5 loyalty for 4 mana. His +1 reveal top 2 cards. An opponent chooses one. Put that into your hand. Exile the other with a counter on it. His -1 is put a card with the counter on the silver counter from exile to your hand. So if they exile a good one, but you want it back, you can always get it back. I like him because he's -2. Created a 0/0 colorless artifact construct token that's power and toughness is 1/1 for each artifact you control. Now he can do that as soon as he comes into play. So he can make pretty strong artifacts as soon as he comes into play. Alright, we've got 4 enchantments. Thropter Spy Network, pretty good. 4 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, create a Thropter. If whenever one or more artifacts you control deal combat damage, draw a card. Very good card draw, and it makes Thropters good stuff. Our second enchantment is 3 mana flash. At the beginning of each player's draw step, they draw an additional card. It's like a Howling Mind-ish, you know what I mean? But since it's got flash, you can wait till it's about to be your turn, and then play it at the end of their turn, so you're the first one to get its effects. Then we got this guy, Warstorm Surge. I know it's 6 mana, but with her ability, it comes out like most of the time for like 2 or 1. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Now, I like the fact this is when it comes into the battlefield, not when you cast it. So things like if you play a mirror battle sphere, for example, you'll deal 4 off the mirror, and then to any target, and then it comes in with 4 mirror, so you can deal 1 damage to up to 4 different targets. Very strong. When Saheeli does her ultimate, this thing can be crazy. Then our last one is Storm the Vault. Whenever one or more of your creatures deals combat damage, you get a treasure token that's got sack it for any color. And then at the beginning of your end step, if you control 5 or more, you transform it. 5 or more artifacts, I'm sorry, which is, very, very simple and easy in this deck. It transforms into a legendary land, which is very strong. The legendary land, you can tap it for any mana, any color mana, or you can tap it to add 1 blue for each artifact you control. Very, very strong card when it flips. And it's pretty strong when it's not flipped. So, strong in 2 ways. Alrighty. And again, these cards synergize a lot with each other. So that's why, they all pretty much have the artifact theme going. And we got Thrawn Temple Gateway. 4 mana comes into play. You can tap 4 and tap it to put a historic card from your hand to the battlefield. So it's an ability. So that historic card, being in a legendary, it can be a planeswalker, it can be an artifact. Um, so that ability, unless they have something that counters an ability, can't that card that comes in can't be countered because it's coming in with this ability. And you can cheat out all sorts of high end stuff like you can get cheat out Battle Sphere for 4 mana. You could cheat out like a 5 mana Planeswalker for 4 mana, saving mana. You could do a lot of cool stuff with this thing. And since it's historic, it works with so much in your deck. Good old Elixir Immortality, simple. This is pretty much to get your graveyard back into your library. Unwind the Clock, simple but very powerful. You untap all your artifacts during each player's untap step. So all your mana rocks untap during each player's untap step. All your artifact creatures, they untap, so they have pseudo vigilance. This is very strong and simple. We've got another one that came in the Saheeli deck, Retro Foundry. This one's good because you can untap it for 3 mana. And then it makes a servo, or then if you got a servo, you can turn that servo into a Thropter. If you got a Thropter, you can turn that Thropter into a construct. Each, getting better each as you progress. Very strong. And with the amounts of mana this deck can produce, it's very easy to use this multiple abilities in a single turn. Good old Skull Clamp for drawing cards. Since we have so many 1/1 fodders, very powerful. Helm of the Host, another very powerful card. Can make tokens of your creatures, and like with that token guy, you can turn your mirrors into the big creatures. This thing is very strong. This guy's pretty strong. It's a win condition pretty much. At your end step, you'll deal 1 damage to every opponent for the amount of creatures that you have tapped. So in a swarmy kind of deck, in a token kind of deck, this can get pretty nuts. You swing out at somebody that's got their defenses down, and then everybody hurts at the end of your combat. At your end step. Very strong. That's actually kind of game winner in some scenarios. You got Mirrorworks, 5 mana. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield, you can tap 2 and create a token that's a copy. Very strong. Then we got Tezzert's Gatebreaker. It pretty much, when it comes into play, you let you look at 5 and then you pick one. That's a blue one or artifact. But I like it because you pay 6 and sack it, and your creatures become unblockable until end of turn. This is a game winner. You can just have it be kind of dormant, and then when you got your board set up, boom, they become unblockable. All right, so there's that. Lots of synergy with each other. Then we're going to go on to the mana rocks. Alright, this guy can be picked with your mage if you want to. It's colorless mana, or you can make a clue. Clues draw cards when you sack them, and they're artifacts. Mox Amber, strong. It works off your commander. So, and it's 0 mana, and it's artifact, very powerful. Mana rock. Good old basic Thron Dynamo. Then we have Commander Sphere, good mana rock, and you can sack it for cards. We got a couple of the sack for cards. Hedron Archive, same principle. It's a mana rock, but you can sack it for cards. And remember, like if you got your Scrap Crawler out, and you sack this for cards, you're getting the 2 cards as well as getting something from your graveyard to the battlefield because this went away. And then we got the bigger one, the Dreamstone Hedron, mana rock, and sack it for cards. Then we've got basic signet, soul ring. Everybody has one. Manolith, astral cornucopia. Um, This one is almost like a gilded lotus, but it's a variable. The exchange rate on this is a little bit worse than lotus, but because it's all colorless in the X's, saheeli's plus one that reduces a mana in your next spell by one colorless mana. This thing can come in for pretty strong amounts of mana fairly quickly, and then you can tap it to get that mana out of it instantly. And we got Blinkmoth Urn. Now this helps every player. At the beginning of each player's pre-combat main phase, you get one colorless for each artifact they control. Yeah, it helps everybody, but it will help you so much more. I had this thing give me 12 mana. Just having 12 mana, my main phase extra because I had 12 artifacts. Stupid powerful. Whereas, most of my other opponents, they were getting mana, but they were getting like 3 and 4, which is a far cry from 12. So that's 11 mana rocks. Very strong, and they're all artifact mana rocks. Alrighty. Then we're going to go with our sorceries next. We went over Saheeli's Directive. Very strong. Then we've got one with the machine. Draws you cards. It's 4 mana. Sorcery draw cards equal to the highest converted mana cost among artifacts you control. For 4 mana, you can draw between 1 and 7 cards. Actually no, 1 and 11 because of the Colossus. On average, you're drawing maybe 3 to 4 cards with this. I have drawn 6 because I had the Steel Hellkite out, so it's a good card. Saheeli's Artistry, a no-brainer. It makes tokens and artifacts, and you can pick both, so a no-brainer. Also, this synergizes so well with the commander. I mean, the creature that lets you turn all your tokens into one thing. So you could pick say they have a huge creature out, you can make a token of it, and then when your guy comes out, that changes all your 1/1 tokens, your 2/2 tokens. They can all become copies of the huge thing that you made with this. And the best part about that is you can pick their creatures. This guy, create a token that's a target of artifact, but you get to do that effect for each time you've cast your commander, so it's pretty strong. Alright. As you see, all these cards have a lot of care for artifacts. Chaos Warp, simple but effective. Good draw cards and matters about artifacts. Blue Sun for when you got so much mana, you just need to search for an answer. Nexus of Fate because why not? It's 7 mana, but Saheeli can make it cost 2, and then you take an extra turn. You shuffle this bad boy back in. It's just very powerful. You guys, I'm sure you know that. Then we have our non-basic lands, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 non-basic lands, including 3 artifact lands, which very strong in this deck. Temple of False Gods, scavenger grounds for the hate on cards that rely on graveyards. Buried Ruin for artifact recursion. This is one of the new lands, but I like it because it can make Saheeli come in with extra loyalty, which can be very, very swing the tides of battle. You know what I mean? Because it gets her ultimate off that much quicker. uh, land that you can sack to draw cards. Cycling land. I'm sorry, that's not the cycling land. This is the memorial. Lets you blow up a land. Land that takes away their that scries. Then we've got um, maze, good for defense. Another card drawing land. Land that you can sack it to make artifacts. I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. That's the one that don't have to sack. That just makes artifacts. This is the one that you sack to make artifacts in a pinch. Uh, Basic fetch. Very basic fetches. Um, Another fetch that gets you basic mana. Command tower because every commander deck should have it. Basic is it? These are the common ones because I didn't have the rare ones. You know what I mean? And I don't have any of the fetches in these colors. This one is utility. You can pay a life to get either any color out of it if you have an artifact. This one's very strong because it lets you search out an artifact, when you have 3 artifacts, which is stupid easy. So this one you can stack to get your big puzzle piece out. Then we got your basic lands, 14 basic lands, 7 blue, 7 red. Alright, so that's the deck in a nutshell. I've played it a few times. Um, it's got a problem of it can start off slow. But once it gets taken off, it's very strong, very, very strong. And like I said, that is an iffy one because it only sometimes starts off slow. Sometimes it starts off super fast. It's a good, how would I put it? This is a good project deck. It's good as is to play and it's semi-competitive. You know what I mean? It's not the most competitive deck, but it's got room to grow because I could make its mana base better. I could put the high end blue cards in there. Like your Forces of Will and your Mana Drains. It doesn't have any of that stuff in there, but it could. It's Cyclonic Rifts, Sensei's Tops. Sensei's Top would be a great card in this deck. But again, it's got that room to grow, that potential for growth. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of the deck. Is it something that you would build? Do you like the artifact synergies? Do you like your planeswalkers as commanders? What would you have changed in this deck? Just let me know in general what you'd like. Do you like this type of video? If so, I've got other decks. I got a couple of tribal decks. I've got another deck that's really competitive. And now I've got another Planeswalker deck as the commander. So let me know what you guys think. You guys have a great day. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Magic in the Basement, signing out.